the service tax facilities and exemption. The first session just now we have been covered the expansion scope, the introduction of SST, the expansion scope, the latest amendment that we have, yeah, and also the transitional rules that was covered in the first just before we go for the morning break. Now we are back with the second topic of the day, yeah, the service tax facilities and exemption. So we already know what has been imposed, what has been prescribed as a new in the expansion scope, prescribed of taxable services. Now let us take a look on what are the facilities and exemption that has been provided by RMCD for the registrant of service tax under the Service Tax Act 2018. Yeah? So in this morning session, I will touch on exemption. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, there is a difference between exemption and exclusion in service tax legislations. Exclusions mean not taxable, out of the scope. Exemption means it is taxable but has been given a tax exemption subject to a conditions. So when we provide exemption, there must be a condition. So you fulfill the conditions, by all means, you can use the exemption. Okay. So with this second session, I hope that I can go a bit slower because on the previous morning session, you guys say that I'm quite fast, yeah? All right, so we go a little bit slow. All right, so next we are going to take a look on the refund, yeah? So this is not like those refund, input tax refund that we have in GST, but this is a refund under Section 38, yeah? Section 38, Section 35. Refund for erroneously paid. Yeah, you are mistakenly charged a client. Oh, okay, so yes, you can apply for refund for that purposes. And we are going to look into a remission. So what we have for remission, so under what circumstances you can apply for remission, and review and appeal. So in the case that you already apply for any customs ruling, for any for a certain reason, yeah, for whatever reasons that you wanted to apply for customs ruling, and you are not satisfied with the decision, same goes to the refund. If you're not satisfied with the decision, then you can apply for review and appeal. Yeah, right. So this is all the facilities that we have. We also have these group relief facilities under the service tax regulations. Yeah, this is a facilities that we can offer to the registered person. Okay, so if for your information, if you finish on in time, or if you have any time left just before we go for lunch break, I'm going to answer a few questions online because I have checked with the secretariat. They said that there are about 30 questions plus, yeah, for the first sessions. So we may I mean answered online, yeah, for that few questions. We'll see if the time permits lah, yeah, basically. All right, so let's move on to the first topic, the first agenda for second session, which is the exemption. So under the Service Tax Act 2018, there is an exemption under Section 34.1 and Section 34.3. 34.1 is under the Gazetted Order, which namely service tax person exempted from payment of tax order. It means that particular person is been granted an exemption not to pay service tax. Yeah, so that's the purpose of this gazetted order under Section 34.1. Yeah, Section 34.1, Minister has the power to impose to provide tax exemption, to give tax exemption based on an order, a gazetted order. And another one under Section 34.3. Yeah, 34.3, minister can also provide a tax exemption, to give tax exemption via the letter issued to the respective company or to RMCD, yeah, to customs. In the case of a blanket exemption is given to an industry, yeah, usually they will issue out a policy letter to customs to what certain if there is a certain period related to that exemption, it will be stated in that policy itself, and we are going to transfer whatever the content of that policy letter into a service tax policy. Yeah, service tax policy that has been issued out by RMCD. All these documents you can find it in our legislation tab in my SST account, yeah, my SST portal. Okay, basically this is the list of amendment that we have already made into our service tax PAF pot order. So person exempted from payment of tax order, in short we call it PAF pot. Yeah. So in this PAF pot order, not as long as the service tax regulation, obviously. In the year of 2019, we only have two category of person that can enjoy this exemption, payment of tax exemption. Yeah. In the year of 2020, we increase another two category. So we have together four category of taxable person that has been granted a tax exemption. In the year of 2024, last year, we add on another one category of taxable person, which is the logistic, also has been granted a tax exemption under this order. And this year, we add on another five category of taxable services to be exempted. Yeah, to be exempted from payment of tax. So altogether under the schedule, we have a total of 10 category of taxable person, 10 items of a person that has been granted a tax exemption. Yeah. So let's take a look on item 1. Item 1 are meant for B2B exemption. So why we call it B2B exemption, basically is because of business to business. When you are a businesses, a registered person providing taxable services to another businesses, also a registered person, and that such services are not meant for own consumption. Yeah, then only you can be exempted. Okay, why we have this B2B exemption? It is basically to reduce the effect of cascading tax, yeah, the double taxation. Because in SST, we know that in this regime, yeah, under Section 7, where we said that you are a taxable person, you provide taxable services in Malaysia, your responsibility is to charge. Yeah, you have to charge your client 6 or 8% ORM, 25 ringgit per card. So that is the responsibility or liability for a registered person. So you, registered person, providing taxable services in Malaysia, you have to charge. So if that concept, yeah, for that particular services, if there's a third party that acquiring the same services from another person, and for the purpose not for own consumption, but for the purpose to supply that services to another client or to another businesses. So a third party. So these provisions of services will incur double taxation, yeah, because the same services, but it is only for onward supply purposes. You as the middleman, you as the third party, to arrange or to just to acquire that services on behalf of your client, to supply onward supply to your client. So this concept of the middleman concept will incur cascading tax, yeah, double taxation, because of the concept of SST. Unlike GST, where you can claim your input tax credit, whatever that has been acquired by you, you paid your service tax, you can control that service tax in your output credit. Okay, yeah, right. But it is not applicable in SST regime. So that's why in SST, to create or to have double taxation it's quite common actually. Because it is unavoidable. We cannot avoid that, because when you are a taxable person, a registered person, you provide the taxable services, you have to charge client, that's it. Unless there is an exemption given, then you can apply the kind of facilities. For example, this B2B exemption. So this B2B exemption are meant for the taxable services in Group G. So we know that Group G is a professional or skills group. We have total of 13 category of taxable person in Group G. But the person that has been granted an exemption is the taxable person specified in column 1 of Group G in the first schedule of service tax, except the taxable person in item 10 and K. So we know that under Group G, there are 13 category of taxable person. For example, we have advocates and solicitor, we have shari'i, lawyer, we have accountant, we have this surveyor, engineer, we have architect, management, training, consultation, IT, digital service provider, maintenance and repair, right? And also we have employment and security services. Employment and security services falls under item 10 and K. So it means for employment and security services, they cannot enjoy this B2B exemption. So any acquisition of employment from an employment firm to another employment firm is subject to service tax. You cannot enjoy this B2B exemption. Okay, so the rest of the group can enjoy B2B exemption except for employment and security services. So the service exempted as per column 3, column 3 of the item 1 of this group is the taxable service specified in column 2 of group G. So column 2 in group G. Column 2 in group G referring to the taxable services. So taxable services are entitled for this tax exempted except for item J and K. J and K are referred to the employment services and also the security services that is tied to the item 10 and 11. Right? So it means provisions of taxable services on employment and security services cannot enjoy B2B exemption. The rest can. IT can, digital can, training can, management can, consultation can. Other than that, all can except for employment and security services. And as I mentioned earlier, if there is an exemption is given, there must be a conditions to it. And for your information, unlike sales tax, for service tax, you do not have to apply for the exemption. Okay, there's no form, there's no functions in the My SST account for you to click on and apply for exemption. There's nothing like that, yeah, because it is purely based on self-compliance. We stated all the conditions. You check whether you fulfill the conditions or not. If yes, by all means, you can use the tax exemption. Your provisions of taxable services to the person that your service recipient, which is also businesses and not for own concern, is not subject to service tax. It's being given an exemption. All right. So let's take a look on the conditions. The taxable person exempted is a registered person. Okay. Service recipient must be a registered person. The second condition, the taxable service exempted is provided by a registered person. Service provider must be a registered person as well. So both parties must be registered. Okay, service recipient is taxable. Service provided is taxable. All right, the third conditions, the taxable service exempted is the service provided under the same items by the person exempted. So it must be the same item, same services, yeah? Same item referred to column 2 is the same services. So if I am providing IT services to another company, they also provide IT services to the client, then can be B2B exempted. All right, and the last condition is the taxable service exempted in column 3 is not for personal consumption. So column 3 referred to the column 3 of the passport order, yeah, passport order. So it is not for personal consumption because, for your information, these facilities is given to avoid the double taxation, not to eliminate the tax. Yeah. So if you are the personal consumption, you are the client, you consume the services. So who is going to pay the tax? Right? So that is why we said that these facilities are meant to reduce the cascading tax effect, not to eliminate the tax. The tax are still there. Someone needs to pay the tax. The client needs to pay the tax because when we talk about service tax, it is always refer back to the who consumed the service, who acquired the service. That person must pay service tax. Yeah. For example, if you don't want to pay service tax for when you dine into the restaurant, then you have to cook at home. Yeah, you cook by yourself at home, so you do not have to pay service tax. Same to the telecommunication. You don't want to pay service tax to telco, then don't use your handphone. All right. So if you consume the services, you have to pay the tax. So same concept here. These B2B exemptions are facilities to avoid or to help out in the double taxation tax, but not to eliminate the tax. The tax are still there for someone to pay. Okay. All right. So this is the 4 conditions. You can fulfill these 4 conditions for that particular provisions for that time. Then by all means, you don't have to pay service tax. You don't have to charge service tax. All right. Depending if you are the recipient or the service provider of this taxable services. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look on this. Group G, same group. Okay. registered person A and registered person B, company A and company B. So assuming that both companies are actually under the same category or same item, yeah, for example, architect to architect. So architect to architect, yes, they can enjoy this to be exemption, and this company B provisions of these architectural services to the end consumer will charge service tax. Right? What about if company A is architect but company B is consultation services? Then you cannot enjoy B2B exemption because of not same item. You did not fulfill the third condition. Okay? Alright, let's take a look at the second example here. Company A and company B both are registered under the same item, architect to architect, but this company B acquired the architectural services from company A is for their own consumption, means company B acquired the architectural services from A to build their office, to build this company B office in Kuala Lumpur. So that is why the acquisition of these taxable services of architectural services are not eligible for this B2B exemption. Company B need to pay service tax for the acquisition of architectural drawing just now. Okay? Alright, this is another example here. Company B and company A are registered under IT services. Yeah, IT services on item 8 of Group G. Yeah, Group G IT provide IT services. Yeah, this one can enjoy B2B exemption, and provisions of these IT services to the client will attract 8% service tax. Yeah. Okay, taxable person, category item number 2. A person that can enjoy tax exemption, payment of tax. Yeah, for item 2 in the schedule of the passport order is advertising. So those who are a registrant under these advertising services, that is advertising is under item 8 of Group I. Yeah, Group I. Right, the taxable person that has been granted a tax exemption is the taxable person specified in column 1, item 8 of Group I, in the first schedule of service tax regulation. So, column 1 refer to taxable person, item 8 in Group I refer to the advertising service provider. So, those who are an advertising service provider that is registered under item 8 of Group I is the person that has been granted a tax exemption. Okay, and service exempted is the provisions of advertising services. Condition is quite similar to the previous one. The taxable person exempted is registered person. The service recipient must be a registered person. The taxable service exempted is provided by a registered person who is a taxable person in column 1, item 8. So same registration, yeah. So it must be from advertiser as well. So the service provider must be a registered person under item 8 of Group I, advertising services. Alright, the last condition, the taxable service exempted in column 3 is not for personal consumption by the person in column 2. Alright, so it means not for own consumption, right? So this is for furtherance of businesses. This is an onward supply to another person, another client. Okay, so that is why you can enjoy this B2B exemption if you fulfill all the conditions. In this case, there are 3 conditions, so you have to fulfill all the conditions. Alright, so let's take a look on this example. This is quite similar to the previous example. This person registered under item 8 as an advertising service provider provide advertising services. So what about if this advertising service provider provide other than advertising services, then it is not something related to this B2B exemption. Alright, this registered person under item 8, advertising, provides advertising services to another person that is also a registrant under item 8, advertising service provider. Right, and that particular person provide advertising services to the client. Right, so these acquisitions of tax advertising services from this company to another company is entitled for B2B exemption. Right, and scenario 2, it is not qualified because of this the second company is actually acquired that advertising services for his own usage, okay, for the company usage. So therefore, it is not subject to service tax. In this chain, in this scenario, that company is actually the customer. So the customer need to pay service tax, yeah. All right. Okay. Item 3 and 4. It is an exemption on imported taxable services. Okay. Item 1 and 2, B2B exemption. All right. B2B exemption. Not for own consumption. This is an onward supply to another party. So you can get a tax exemption. B2B exemption. All right. How do you want to check? Okay. This is a very common question. Point. Since you said that there is no application to be made for this exemption application, how do we know that this our client is actually entitled for this B2B exemption? Okay, your responsibility is actually to charge. Okay, what Section 7 said? Section 7 says that you as a service provider providing taxable services, you charge your client. That's it. Full stop. Okay, indicates that your client come forward, say that, okay, I am actually a same service provider as you, and this acquisition of services are not meant for my usage, are actually, my intention is actually to provide to my client. So that particular person need to come up, to confront, to have some sort a disclaimer or any details to you as a service provider not to charge this person service tax. So yeah, basically that's what it is not stated elsewhere in the regulations or in the act, but in order for you to give that tax exemption, you need to that client need to come to you and saying that they are entitled for this exemption, because it is self-compliance, right? So you just keep whatever document that they provide, maybe a disclaimer letter, maybe a memo saying that this acquisition of services are not meant for my usage. This is meant for my client. So just keep that memo for a period of 7 years under Section 24 of Service Tax Act. A registered person must keep all the related document in relation to the provisions of taxable services for a period of 7 years for the purpose of audit. Okay, so you keep that supporting document for your safekeeping in order for customs to verify during our audit process. Yeah. So basically, for this item 3, it gives an exemption, tax exemption, not to account IMTS, not to pay service tax on imported taxable services. Okay, the person that has been granted an exemption is any person in carrying on his business acquired digital services from foreign registered person. When we talk about foreign registered person, FRP. FRP means this person already registered with custom and they are legally registered with custom and they have to charge service tax on the provisions of digital services to Malaysian consumer. Okay, because I said earlier in my first few slides, 1st January 2020, that is where we started to register those foreign service providers that provide digital services to Malaysian consumer. Yeah, so they are not located inside Malaysia, they are elsewhere outside Malaysia. They do not have any establishment in Malaysia, but they provide digital services to Malaysian consumer. Therefore, we ask them to be registered with custom if they exceed the threshold of 500,000. Okay, so if they register with custom, their responsibility is to charge you. As I mentioned earlier, right? Those who already become a registered person under the Act, under the Service Tax Act, you are subject to you are liable to follow all the rules and regulations that we have under the Act. Yeah. So being a registered person under MyStore, yeah, you are responsible to charge your client, your Malaysian consumer, service tax. Okay. So therefore, this exemption under item 3 to give an exemption for this person who acquired the digital service from foreign registered person. So it means this foreign registered person already charged you service tax, and you on your side you do not have to account another tax for imported taxable services. Okay. Alright, service exempted is the digital service acquired from foreign registered person, and the conditions would be taxable person who shall account for service tax due under Section 26. So 26 means any person, registered person. Okay, and the person in column 2, 26 and 26A, yeah? any person who acquired imported services shall account and pay service tax. Conditions under item B. The person in column 2 holds an invoice or document issued in connection with digital service from foreign registered person under regulation 6(1) or 2 of the Service Tax Digital Service Regulations. Okay, so if you have a valid invoice or document used in connection to this FRP, FRP issued out the service tax, then you do not have to account imported taxable service. What happen if you already account? I mean, if you account this imported services, so it means you are paying 2 times tax, service tax. Digital is 8% for this one acquisition of services. Okay, so it shouldn't be. That's why we come up with this kind of item 3 tax exemption for you not to account imported services. If you are referring to the section 7B, section 7B acquired you to account and pay imported services. But with this exemption under item 3, you are being given an exemption not to account imported services on digital services. Okay, only from foreign registered person. The conditions here are already stated. Alright, so this is an example. Alright, this is a foreign registered person. FRP means the issuer invoice consists of their MyStocks number. So the MyStocks number start with DST, DST, Digital Service Tax. You can go to my stock portal. My stock portal, you can look out for registration status. Similar to my SST, you can also look out for registration status, the details of a company that is registered under which category for the purpose of B2B exemption for validation purposes. Same goes to this my stock, foreign registered person. You can also check whether this company charge you genuinely or not, yeah, under the registration status under the my DST. Okay, so if foreign registered person issue out in an invoice stating the service tax, charge your service tax to the taxable person. This taxable person under section 26 is been given a tax exemption not to account imported taxable services. Yeah, all right. Okay, foreign registered person. All right, this is also not. I've been given a tax exemption not to account imported taxable services. Yeah. All right. Item 4. Item 3 and 4 is an exemption for imported taxable services. Right. One is for digital. Item 4 meant for IT services. So the person that is under item 8 of Group G. Item 8 of Group G referring to the IT service provider. Service exempted would be the IT services acquired from person who is outside Malaysia. Okay, please note that for IT service provider, there is IT service provider is not someone that should be registered under RMCD. Because the one that we are only provide for registration is only meant for the digital service provider. IT cannot be registered with custom because we do not have any provisions for IT service provider to be registered with custom. IT foreign service provider, yeah, outside Malaysia. So the service exemption exempted is IT services from person who is outside Malaysia. If you acquired IT services from someone inside Malaysia, so inside Malaysia means no IMTS acquired because it is not an imported taxable services. So it must be from someone outside Malaysia, and the condition would be taxable person in column 2 is a registered person, service recipient is a registered person. Taxable person in column 3 is the taxable service exempted in column 3 is identical to the information technology services distributed or sold by the person in column 2. Okay, referring to the reseller or distributor lah, yeah, basically. The taxable service exempted in column 3 is not for personal consumption. So this item for this IT reseller and IT distributor. So if you are a person that has been appointed by a foreign service provider outside Malaysia to be a reseller in Malaysia, then your acquisitions of IT services from that particular company are been given a tax exemption not to account imported taxable services. Okay. This is an example. Exemption from payment of tax. This company acquired services, software, IT services from the main distributor outside Malaysia, acquired in Malaysia, but for the purpose of the customer to be resell to customer in Malaysia. So it will, these acquisitions of imported services has been granted an exemption. Okay, but the second scenario is meant for own consumption. So these acquisitions of IT services, IT software, but meant for the usage of the company itself. So that's why it is subject to service tax. Someone has to pay the tax. The consumer or the customer of the services will have to pay the tax, right? All right, this is amended last year. B2B exemption is also to be provided to logistic services industry. So the logistic services, person is being given an exemption is the taxable person specified in column 1 in the first schedule of service tax regulations. So in the column 1 of group J, refer to the taxable person in column J, which is the logistic service provider. And the service exempted in column 2, the taxable service exempted specified in column 2 in group J. So column 2 in group J refer to the taxable services and also the customs clearance, customs clearance in group J. Okay, there are 4 conditions to it. If you fulfill all the conditions, you must fulfill all, not either or. You must fulfill all the conditions, then only you are eligible to use this B2B exemption. So under logistic also is a B2B exemption. The taxable person referred to in column 2 is a registered person. Okay, column 2 refer to the person that has been granted an exemption. So the recipient of the services is a registered person. The taxable service referred to column 3 is provided by a registered person who is a taxable person in column 1 of group J. So the service provider is also a registered person, recipient registered, service provider also registered person. Okay, the taxable service referred to in column 3 is the same taxable service provided by the taxable person referred to in column 2. Okay, so it must be the same services, hold on, let me check. All right, it must be the same services. Then only you can exempt it. All right, the taxable service referred to column 3 is not for personal consumption. All right, when we talk about same services here, it means transportation to transportation, warehouse to warehouse, port services to port services. So that's what it means, But with that conditions, it will still not benefiting to the logistic industry players, because we know that in a logistic you are actually it is actually a chain of supply. It is actually a chain of supply and involve all the parties in order for you to complete one services, one cycle. For example, you need to send these goods from Malaysia to Australia. So you need a vessel, you need a port services, you need a transportation. In order for you to deliver this good, you need a warehouse. You need all these kind of services in order for you to deliver the goods to your customer in Australia. So what if we cannot, what if we fix to the condition that is same services, then it will not be benefiting to this chain of services. It will still trigger double, triple taxation. So that is why under the Service Tax Policy number 4, Service Tax Policy number 4, effective 1st March 2024, we changed the condition. The item 3 condition, the taxable service exempted is provided by the taxable person under the same sub-item in column 1. It must be from the same category of person instead of same service provider. So we broaden the exemption scope to be under the same category of person. So under logistic, there are 4 category of person. So if you are a person under category 1A, then you supply logistic services to category person 1A, you can enjoy this B2B exemption, provided that services are not meant for own consumption. Okay, this is how it looks like. Alright, registered person under 1A. 1A meant for logistic management, warehousing, terminal operator, port operator, transportation, haulier, warehouse. So everyone, everyone is under item 1A logistic. Okay, 1A, warehouse provide services to the transportation, the haulier. Alright, so this one can be tax exempted, B2B exemption, and this haulier only charged to the client at the last mile, last leg, 6% for the overall charges that this person incurred, in order for him to deliver the goods from one place to the client. Okay, so this one can enjoy B2B exemption because they are under the same category of person, 1A to 1A. Let's take a look on the example under second example. This registered person under category of person registered under item 2. Item 2 are meant for customs agent, the provisions of clearing goods from customs control. So this customs agent provide the clearance of goods from customs control need to charge this freight forwarder or charge this transporter 6% for the acquisitions of release the goods from customs control. Okay, so all the services that this company provide is subject to 6% service tax, and later this freight forwarder will compile all the costs that he incurred in order to deliver the goods to the customer. The whole bill will then be subject to another 6% service tax. Alright, this is an assumption from item 1D. 1D are meant for courier service provider. So this courier service provider is actually a company that is licensed under the Postal Act, Section 12 of Postal Act, Section 10 of Postal Act 2012. Yeah, the Postal Act. So this person is actually a licensed a courier license. So any courier that is licensed under the Act will be under the category of 1D. So the services is all the same. They are providing transportation services. They are storing the goods for the client. But since they are a registered person under different category of taxable person, then they have to charge this person of 1A 6% because they are not under the same category of person. Okay, therefore, later this person 1A will charge the whole bill to the clients 6%. Okay. Alright, this is even though they are under the same category of person, but it is not meant for the onward supply. This is for own consumption, that therefore it is not subject. It is not eligible for this B2B exemption. Then it will be subject to service tax. Alright, this is a whole picture of the B2B exemption under the logistic services. This is where we already enhance to broaden the scope of B2B exemption. Yeah? If you are limited to the types of services, same services that will be not benefiting to the industry as a whole. But if you are tied to the category of taxable person, okay, then it can benefit most of the chain of the logistics service provider. Yeah, for example, this port operator will not charge the vessel will not charge the freight forwarder, then the freight forwarder only charge one time here to the end consumer. Alright, this is a new amended new addition to the first schedule of passport order. Yeah, to the passport order, as I mentioned earlier, up until 2024, we only have 5 category of exempted services, and now we have added on another 5 category of exempted services. Altogether, now we have total of 10 taxable services that has been given a tax exemption. Yeah. So under item 6, also for finance group, we also provide B2B exemption. Okay, so any person that is regulated by the Labuan Financial Services Authority, LFFSA. Alright, Labuan LFSA, Labuan Financial Services Authority. Any person that is regulated under Labuan Financial Services Activity and provide financial services in column 2 of Group H just now. Okay, financial services, any financial services that imposes fee or commission is subject to service tax, nowadays, starting 1st July. And the condition would be the taxable service referred to in column 3 is acquired from a registered person who is a taxable person in column 1 of Group H. It must be both parties must be a registered person, or acquired any from the services from any person outside Malaysia. Okay, then it will be not subject to, it has been given a tax exemption, not to account service tax, yeah, not to pay service tax, not to pay service tax. All right, the taxable service referred to in column 3 is used by the person referred to in column 2 to provide any service regulated to Labuan Financial Services Security Act or Labuan Islamic Financial Services Security Act 2010. Yeah, if the service is to be used to be used by the person referred in column 2 to provide any services regulated under this act will also enjoy these exemptions. Yeah, so this is the condition. You must fulfill both conditions. All right. Okay, item 7. I mean, for the healthcare services, this is to give an exemption to the citizens of Malaysia. So that is why in the regulation itself under group under group I, item 14, 15 and 16, in the column 2 they only stated the provisions of healthcare services is taxable, right? But in the passport order we give an exemption to the citizens. So all the citizens in Malaysia, citizens of Malaysia, acquiring the healthcare services, acquiring the TCM services, acquiring the allied health services from a registered person is not subject to service tax. It's been given an exemption. Okay. All right, rental or lease under item 8. Yeah. Item 8, rental or lease. So the person is being given an exemption is the taxable person specified in column 1 of group K. So there's only one person in column K, in group K, which is any person providing rental or lease. Yeah, there's only one person. Okay, and the taxable service specified in column 2. Yeah, the service exempted is the taxable service specified in column 2 of group K in the first schedule. So there's only one item for taxable services in group K, which is the rental or lease are taxable, exclude, yeah, there's an exclusion given to accommodation, rental of accommodation, rental of reading materials, and another 2 more rentals of financial lease, and last one is, I'm not mistaken, is rental of tangible asset outside Malaysia. Okay, a rental of assets outside Malaysia. So, which means all the services, all the rental services are entitled for this service exemption. Yeah, because there's only one services, taxable services in column 2 of group K. And there are conditions to it. There are 4 conditions. The taxable person in column 2, yeah, recipient must be a registered person. Taxable service referred in column 3 provided by a registered person who is a taxable person in column 1 of group K. So it must be service provider also must be a registered person under rental or lease. Yeah, the taxable service referred to column 2 in column 3 is the same taxable service provided by a taxable person in column 2. So it must be the same services, the rental services, the leasing services. Yeah, and the taxable service referred in column 3 is provided for the purpose of sublet or sublease, and not for personal consumption, obviously, yeah, because as I mentioned earlier, why B2B has come into the picture is because to reduce the cascading tax effect, and also not for own consumption. So provisions, acquisitions of any taxable services is to be paid by the customer or the service consumer. All right. So all the 4 conditions has to be fulfilled before you can use the B2B exemption. So this is also a B2B exemption applicable to rental or lease. Yeah. So if you are a landlord providing a rental of building to one of the tenant, and that particular tenant is actually are going to sublease another lot, yeah, of the particular floor to another tenant. So yes, that particular customer can enjoy B2B exemption. Not customer, the service provider, okay, can enjoy B2B exemption and charge service tax accordingly to the last tenant. All right, the last tenant are going to pay service tax. All right, next we have construction works. Here, item 9 is to give tax exemption, service tax exemption on provisions of construction works. So the person would be the person, taxable person specified in column 1 of group L. So there's only one category of taxable person in group L, which is any person providing construction works. Yeah, and the service exempted is the taxable service specified in column 2 of group L. So taxable service in column 2 of group L referring to the construction work exclude residential and public facility that relates to the residential building. So other than that are subject to service tax. Okay, so all the services can be tax exempted provided you fulfill all the condition that has been stated in column 4 in the schedule. So in the column 4 there are 4 conditions to it and you have to fulfill all the condition. Alright, the first condition, taxable person referred to column 2 is a registered person. Okay, service recipient is a registered person. The taxable service referred in column 3 is provided by a registered person who is the taxable person specified in column 1 of group L. So service provider must also be a registered person under construction. Yeah. Item C, the condition C, the taxable service referred to in column 3 is the same taxable service provided by the taxable person referred to in column 2. Okay, it must be the same taxable services. There's only one taxable services in group K. In group L, sorry, that is the construction work. So provisions of construction works is entitled for this B2B exemption, irregardless of your construction work is piping construction, and this is road construction. Even though two different types of construction, but you are still under one construction works, yes, you are entitled for B2B exemption. Yeah. And the last condition is not for own consumption. Yeah, so this is very well understood. If you are the consumer, if you are the customer, you consume the service, you pay the tax. Right? Okay, education. The last category of tax exemption under the passport order, yeah, under the person exempted from payment of tax order, Amendment 2025. Yeah. So any person who receive a taxable services specified in column 1 of group M. Okay, group M refer to taxable education services. Yeah. Column 1, group M refer to education services. So the taxable service specified in column item 1, column 2 of group M is the first in the first schedule. Provisions of education services, and condition here is the person referred to in column 2 is a citizen and a holder of a valid OKU card issued under the Persons with Disabilities Act 28. All right, so it means provisions of education, the school, private education, yeah. Provisions of higher institutions, provisions of the language center to a person that holds a valid OKU card is being exempted, okay, not subject to service tax. Alright, I already mentioned, right, this is purely a self-compliance. You do not have to apply to customs in order for you to enjoy the facilities, the B2B exemption and so on. But this is the requirement that we have under the regulations, regulation 10, not regulation 10, if I'm not mistaken, under which regulations, yeah? Okay, no application needed to RMCD to require for self-compliance, yeah? No certificate required, okay? Correct, it's regulation 10. The taxable person has to issue invoice with additional description as required by regulation 10.1a. So under regulation 10.1a, it stated that it must have an invoice must have a client names, must have a client's SST registration number, must have the value of service exemption. Because you must have your client's SST number, because all the condition that we have stated in the B2B exemption just now, you must have both parties must be a registered person. Recipient, a service recipient and the service provider, both parties must be a registered person. That's why the client SST registration number is compulsory. Okay. Alright, and you have to declare the value of exemption services in the SST 02 form, yeah, under 18C. So this will be covered by Panzuraida. Okay, so that is the exemption that is covered under section 34. 34.1 under the gazetted order, which is the passport order. Yeah, person exempted from payment of tax. So currently we have total of 10 category of services that has been given a tax exemption. So let's move on to the service tax policy. This is under section 34.3 under the ministry power to give tax exemption. Alright, so this is a policy that has been issued in the year of 2020. Yeah, service tax policy number 2, 2020. So service tax exemption on imported taxable services. So to give tax exemption, not to account for imported services. So minister give exemption on imported services acquired by a registered person. Okay, qualifying conditions: services under group G except J and K. So J and K refer to employment and security services and advertising services. So group G and advertising. Advertising is group I, group I 8. Group I, item 8 of group I. So only group G and advertising can enjoy this exemption on imported services. Okay, so imported services acquired from 1st January 2020 onwards. This is the conditions. Registered person providing the same services to the customer as imported services. Services are for furtherance of business, not for own consumption. Have paid percent of subvention for the service acquired. So these conditions, you fulfill the condition, you already paid your clients for the services charge. I mean, for the value of services, you already paid to the client, and it is not for own usage. You acquired that services, you acquired that management services for furtherance of business. So you are entitled for this tax exemption not to account for imported taxable services. Yeah. Alright, so this is an example. The exemption is given starting 1st January 2020, right? So starting from this point on time, this point onwards, yeah, 1st January onwards 2020, you do not have to account for imported taxable service. Before that, you have to account for imported taxable services. Alright, that is service tax policy number 2, 2020. So let's move to service tax policy number 3, 2020. Alright, service tax policy number 3, 2020. Service tax policy number 3 on claiming a refund by using offsetting method, yeah, on imported digital services provided by FRP. So the minister allow registered person who has paid stored to claim refund by offsetting method. So eligible person must fulfill the criteria: registered person under Service Tax Act, providing same digital service as imported digital service. So it means digital service provider acquired digital services from foreign registered person, and for furtherance of business, not for own consumption, they can offset the imported services in their declarations to SST 02. Yeah. Alright, this is the method of claiming by using offsetting method based on actual amount. Okay, already paid tax to FRP. This offset the tax amount, yeah, in your SST 02. Where any payment made before 1st January in connection with receiving digital service on or after 1st January, there will be no stops imposed on the service and no refund by offsetting method can be made. Yeah, no refund is allowed. So this is a very common thing in customs, in RMCD. Whenever payment that has been collected during before the exemption is given, then you are not entitled for the tax refund. Yeah. Okay, where any payment is made after 1st January in connection with digital service acquired or after 1st January, FRP shall impose stocks. FRP need to adjust the invoice issued previously. Registered person can claim by refund by using offsetting method. So this is where the Service Tax Policy 3 comes into the picture, basically. Alright. So next is Service Tax Policy number 1, 2024. So I am only covering the Service Tax Policy that provide tax exemption, yeah. So Service Tax Policy number 1, 2024 was issued 28 February and effective on 1st March 2024. Okay, so this is to determine the date of implications of service tax on the new taxable services. So as I mentioned earlier, last year, in the month of March 2024, we broadened the scope. Yeah, we broadened the scope of logistic to be a taxable services. Karaoke was previously not a taxable service. After 1st March 2024 is now a taxable services. Maintenance and repair, the broaden of the scope. Brokerage and underwriting also a broaden of scope, but before 1st March it only covers up until financial services, but now any kind of brokerage, any brokerage on assets and commodity is all taxable, yeah, under brokerage. And the gazetted service tax regulation was on 26th of February, but then Minister has come up with this service tax policy to give tax exemption from 26th February to 1st March. All right, there is a tax exemption. Tax during that 4 days period, 26, 27, 28, 29 of February is being given an exemption by the Minister not to impose service tax on all the new prescribed taxable services. So the effective date will be on the 1st March 2024. That is what has been stated in the Service Tax Policy number 1. Minister give tax exemption during the 4 days, yeah, because the regulation was gazetted and effective on 26 February itself. Okay, so therefore the new service tax on new taxable service effective 1st March, service tax chargeable by existing registered person on 1st March. This is for existing. For new registrant will be on the 1st of April, because 1st March you apply for registration, 1st April will be your effective date. Okay, service tax policy number 2. All right, service tax policy number 2 is to give tax exemption on TCM practitioner. Yeah, so basically, as I mentioned earlier, during the expansion scope, I already tell you that TCM actually made a comeback. Yeah, before this, TCM was a registered person, was a prescribed taxable services since 1st September 2018 up until 1st March 2024. Yeah, so with this exemption under the Service Tax Policy number 2, 2024, Minister has provided an exemption to the service tax, to the TCM services, yeah, traditional and complementary services from 1st September to 29 February 2024. So there's since 1st March 2024, all these services is no longer taxable services, right? But then TCM, those days, during that period, last year, TCM is applicable to all. But now, when TCM makes a comeback, TCM is only applicable to non-citizens of Malaysia. Right, so that's the difference on the implementation of TCM, on re-implementation of TCM this year. Alright, Service Tax Policy number 4. Service Tax Policy number 4 also to give a tax exemption to the industry of logistics. Yeah, this is where they regroup the taxable person under the B2B exemption condition, yeah, under the same sub-item instead of same services, yeah, to widen the scope of B2B exemption. Also to enhance the exemption policy, this is under the same subcategory of person under B2B, to exclude service tax from impositions of tax in SADA, Special Area and Designated Area Order 2024, except from customs agent. So logistics is no longer a taxable services in SADA under the order of SADA. This SADA order has also been amended recently, 2025, to actually to exclude logistics services. So logistics is no longer in SADA, right? Also to give tax exemption on door-to-door activity. So if you are a service provider registered under Logistic Group J, and when you provide door-to-door services to the client, to the owner of the goods, yeah, to your client, that client can enjoy door-to-door exemption. So you are not going to charge service tax on the provisions of this delivery, door-to-door delivery to the client. So your client is being given given a tax exemption not to pay service tax for these door-to-door services. All right. So whatever for logistics services under service tax policy number 4, any provisions of exemption that has been given in the service tax policy number 4 is still with the service tax policy. It has not been amended into the passport order as yet. Yeah. So if you wanted to refer to the service tax, if you wanted to refer to the exemptions under door-to-door for logistic purposes, yeah, under door-to-door, under transit, you are going to refer to this service tax policy number 4 2024. You cannot find it elsewhere in the regulations or the order. All right. Under the service tax policy number 4 also, minister give exemption not to charge service tax for transit activity, yeah, for logistics service provider, and effective date is on 1st March 2024 onwards, right? All right, there is an amendment has been made into the service tax policy number 4. Service tax policy number 4 that has been issued in the month of March. Then we have made an amendment to clarify further on the provisions of section 51 and 56 of SADA, because when we said that logistics is no longer chargeable in SADA, though everyone thought that it is not subject to service tax, but you forgot about the provisions under the Act, yeah, the special provisions that we have in relation to a special area and designated area, whereby it refer back to the principal place of business. So when you tie back to the principal place of business, if your principal place of business is located outside of the SADA, your headquarters is located outside of SADA, and you provide services in SADA, then you have to charge service tax. Yeah. Okay. And also to further clarify on the exemptions conditions for door-to-door, on the third-party service provider in first tier to customer is not eligible. Yeah, for transit activity, break bulk is not allowed. So the amendment of the service tax policy number 4 is to further clarify on whatever that has been granted an exemption in the service tax policy number 4. All right, service tax policy number 5. Okay, this is an exemption to the maintenance or repair. So this is issued in last year, April last year. Okay, but it takes effect on March 2024. Yeah, when maintenance and repair are being subject to service tax starting 1st March 2024. All right. So maintenance and repair. To give an exclusion, yeah, I believe this is already has been amended in the regulations now. So there is an exclusion be given to the maintenance and repair which relates to the land, building, for the purpose residential building to residential land and building, provided by the developer, JMB, MC, and residential association, on or any repairing services to the residential building, and it tie back to the items that is fixed to the structure of the building. Yeah. All right, policy service tax number 5. Yeah, this is also to give an exemption to the sinking fund. Yeah, sinking fund for residential charged by developer, JMB or SC association is not taxable. A warranty upon purchase of good is not taxable. Extended warranty is taxable. Okay, why warranty upon purchase of good is not taxable? It is because you are actually purchasing the goods. Yeah, purchasing the goods is not taxable. It's not subject to service tax because it involves goods, right? But when you you purchase the extended warranty, that is purely you wanted to purchase for maintenance and repair. That's why it is subject to service tax. All right, service tax policy number 6. Right, the service tax policy number 6 refer to the MRO activities. Also, this is also minister also give an exemption, tax exemption, to the MRO activity, maintenance, repair, and overhaul activity, to the big ticket items, like for example the vessels, the aeroplanes, and so on. Yeah. So there are conditions to it. Eligible recipient for the service tax exemption on MRO activities are the airlines that have AOC certificate issued by CAAM, yeah? Shipping companies registered with Malaysian Marine Department, federal and state government departments such as Malaysian Armed Forces, Royal Malaysian Police, Royal Malaysian Customs, Fire and Rescue Department, and so on. So any federal and state government departments have been granted this exemption. recipient of MRO activity services who are located outside Malaysia. So those are the recipients that are entitled for this tax exemption. So what about the service provider? Yeah, service provider that provide maintenance or MRO activity, not to charge the client. Yeah, so it is from the approved maintenance organization registered under CAAM, or the shipbuilding or ship repairing approved by MIDA. Okay, for a service recipient of MRO activities who is located outside Malaysia, the goods equipment involved in MRO carries activities carried out in Malaysia which is necessary to be taken out is subject to the conditions set by our MCD. So effective that okay, for your information, yeah, if the exemption has a validity period, it will be stated in the service tax policy itself. For example, on this service tax policy number 6, it has a validity period. Unlike logistic just now, service tax policy number 5, no validity period. Service tax policy number 4, no validity period. But service tax policy number 6, there are period of validity from 1st March 2024 until 31st December 2027. And this is amendment to the service tax policy number 6, whereby we said that the service provider, we extended the service provider to those who have a MITI approved by MITI as well. Yeah, before this only MIDA, but we extended the exemption to be to those recipient by approved by MITI. Okay. All right. Service tax policy number 8. Yeah. Okay, so service tax policy number 8, service tax exemption for platform fees or commissions on local commodity trading. This is an exemption being given to actually recipients of local commodity trading platform services that are exempted from paying service tax on fees or commission charge under the provisions of Minister Subsection 34(3). Yeah? So this is actually an exemption given to the local commodity trading platform that are charging service tax on the platform fees. So if this is the platform, a trading platform, and they charge for the platform fee, so that is the exemption be given, yeah, on the usage of the platforms. So effective date will be from 1st October 2024, and is limited to the use of local commodity trading platform for the purpose of Islamic financial transactions only. Alright, so before we go to the service tax policy 2025, I'm going to have a short break, 5-minute short break. Okay, for a toilet break and also for a coffee break, just 5-minute short breaks. Alright, thank you so much, everyone. All right. Sorry, everyone. So we shall resume our session. Okay, we just have a very short break for a toilet break and so on. Okay, so we just continue. All right. So those that has been shared before the short break is the exemptions and the services that has been provided by an exemption by the minister under the Service Tax Policy, passport, and also by the Service Tax Policy that was issued out last year, yeah, 2024. We have up to 8 Service Tax Policy. This year, for the purpose of this expansion scope, we have another 5 new Service Tax Policy that has been issued in the month of July itself. Was issued on 29 June. Effective will be on the 1st of July 2025. Yeah. First, we have the Service Tax Policy number 1, 2025. It was the first one. This is for the financial services. Okay. If you notice that the way we drafted our table, our group, financial group, yeah, we said that provisions of all services are taxable, right? Except, okay. So this is the same thing. Under this schedule, yeah, under the schedule of the Service Tax Policy number 1, 2025, there are a few items, yeah, there are a few items for the Service Tax for the financial. If I'm not mistaken, there are actually 9 items that has been granted an exemption, yeah, 9 items under financial services that has been granted an exemption by the minister under Section 34.3. Okay, Section 34.3. The first items, the service tax exemptions on all financial services, excluding the list of taxable services as per the Appendix A. All right, so if you are referring to the Appendix A, those that is listed in the Appendix A will then be subject to service tax. All right, this is the way they drafted the regulations. All services under financial services are exempted, exclude Appendix A. So Appendix A are referring to the conventional and Islamic banking. All right, the treasury services, the credit facility, facility fee for arranging and marking limits. All right, the corporate banking and advisory services. This is referring to the global markets and corporate banking advisory services. Processing fee, the structuring of securities fees, participation in deals fee, pass-through deal fee with markup, upfront fee, administrative charges, letter of undertaking, support, credit advice, charges, and such, and any other, etc., etc. Yeah. So please refer to the list of appendix. So items under investment banking services, the debt markets, arranger facility agent services, arranger fee, facility agent service fee, agency fee, administrative charges are all subject to service tax. Okay, so this is how you read it. It is all services under financials under item 3 of under item 3 and 4 is excluded, is exempted, exclude. So all services is not subject to service tax, but exclude the one that has been listed in Appendix A. So the one that has been listed in Appendix A are subject to service tax. Okay. Alright, so the second items under the Service Tax Policy number 1, 2025 is to give an exemption from being subject to from exemption from being subject to compound, prosecution, and penalty for late registration, for late submissions and return, late payment, incorrect declarations, error related to invoices, credit note or debit note. So this is the first time ever that the Minister of Finance have provided a tax exemption, blanket tax exemption, such as this one for the purpose of this year under the burdens under the expansion scope. Yeah, last year we do not have this kind of facility. We do not have this kind of exemption. Yeah, so this exemption is given to any late registrations, submissions, and so on, but it's subject to the conditions. Yeah, if you refer to the service tax policy itself, there are conditions to it. The offence is involved is detected by RMCD, or you yourself declared that you are voluntarily you are actually late payment, you are actually declaring incorrect information in the declaration and so on. Yeah. The exemption does not apply to fraud offences and offences committed intentionally. So if you are intentionally do not want to register yourself, yeah, if you can prove that, means you are not entitled for this exemption on compound prosecution and penalty. And the applications of penalty remissions must be submitted to RMCD according to the prescribed procedures. So as I mentioned earlier, the one that controls your accounts, your file, is your controlling station, the nearest customs control that is registered following your registration address. Yeah. So please go to the RMCD, your controlling station, to look for these details. Okay. All right, the next one, we are still with STP1. As I mentioned earlier, STP1 we have 9 items to give exemption. Yeah. Next is on federal government exemption from charging and paying service tax. This is given to the federal and state government. So, if you are a bankers or if you are a person that is regulated under item 3 of providing financial services to government and the state government, you are not going to charge them 6% service tax because they are given an exemption under item 3 of service tax policy number 1. Okay. Local authorities also has been granted an exemption from charging and paying service tax. Okay, but it has a validity date. Yeah. So up until from 1st July 2025 up until 30th September 2025. All right. The rest after that will be subject to service tax. Non-reviewable contract. So what does it mean with non-reviewable contract? So if you are providing these financial services, financial fee-based services, and you charge commissions or fees that is subject to service tax, and you entered that contract before the effective date, and it is a spending contract, and it is a non-reviewable contract. It means there's no provisions for you to amend on the value. It is not stated elsewhere in the contract that it is a reviewable contract, and also it must be stamped LHDN. The inland revenue must be stamped before, if I'm not mistaken, before 9 June 2025. So there are conditions to it, yeah? So if there is a conditions to it, then you have to follow suit. If you cannot fulfill the condition that has been prescribed, that has been set in the conditions STP1, Service Tax Policy number 1 2025, then you are no longer applicable for that exemption. Yeah? All right. Next we have B2B exemption. So I believe B2B exemption we have already covered in the PEFPOT order. So this financial services also entitled for this B2B exemption. Okay. All right. Next we have these imported services. This imported services also have been given an exemption to the services to the registered person. If you acquire the financial services from someone outside Malaysia, yeah, there are also conditions to it. Okay, imported services, yeah. If you acquire the services from financial service provider outside Malaysia, and the acquired taxable financial services are used for the purpose of providing the following services: the taxable financial services, the financial services related to goods, land, or matters outside Malaysia, and the financial services directly related to the goods exported out of Malaysia. So it is not, you are not entitled, you are not required to account imported taxable service. All right. Okay, so next is on the exemptions on fees that is related to trading shares that is listed on Bursa. Okay, namely the clearance fee and trading fee imposed by stockbrokers, processing fee and perusal fee imposed on issuer or listed companies under the ACE market. Okay, so wakalah fees charged in transaction or instrument conducted or made in accordance with Sharia principles. So all these has been granted an exemption. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next service tax policy. This is meant for the rental and leasing industries. Yeah, those who are registered under rental and lease taxable services. This is for you. All right, service tax policy number 2/2025. Okay, the first exemption is on the exemption from being subject to compound prosecution and penalty for any late registration, any late submission or return, any late payment, incorrect declarations, error that is relating to the invoices, credit note or debit note. So we believe that for these few months of implementation of SST, you may sometimes overlook, or you may have some grey areas whether not to charge, or whether to charge it on the provisions of any services from you to the client. That's why the minister are providing this kind of blanket and a blanket exemption. All right, but of course it will be subject to a conditions, and the condition are the similar conditions whereby you have to declare that you are actually submitting an incorrect declarations. It is unintentionally committed unintentionally, and also you must apply for the penalty remissions and so on. Yeah. All right. So next, the exemption is also given to the federal and state government for any acquisitions of this rental or lease. Yeah. Also to the local authorities, but these local authorities, they has a validity time frame. Yeah. For federal and state government, they do not have any validity. It's just that the provisions of rental or lease to federal and state government has been given an exemption. But to the local authority, service tax, the exemption is only given to from 1st July to 30th September 2025. Yeah, it's a very short period of time. All right, from starting 1st October onwards, you have to charge service tax on any provisions of rental or lease. Okay. Non-reviewable contract also been given for this under rental and lease. Yeah. All right. It is for a period of 1 year. Okay, from 1st July 2025 until 30th June 2026, and start charging by 1st July 2026 onward. So there's a 1 year contract, 1 year grace period that the government provide, the Minister of Finance provide to those provisions of rental or lease for the non-reviewable contract. Yeah, so the conditions are similar to the previous one. So the service provider is a registered person. The contract does not contain any price revision clause or any value adjustment mechanism in the contract. It was signed and it was in writing, signed and stamped by Inland Revenue (LHDN) before 9 June 2025. All right, and clearly stated in the contract that it is the type of service, fixed contract value, and the contract duration. The contract remains in force after 1st July 2025. So all these conditions you have to fulfill in order for you to enjoy the 1 year grace period of tax exemption. Again, I would emphasize here, it is not an application. You do not have to apply to RMCD. It is purely a self-compliance. Please make sure that you comply. Please, in order for you, if you are in a gray area whether this contract is subject, it is a reviewable or non-reviewable contract, you can always write into customs. You can get a black and white written confirmations from customs, providing the copy of the contract so that we can analyze whether it is you are entitled for these exemptions or not, basically. Yeah. All right. Item number 5. Yeah, it is also to give a tax exemption to those who is under SME. Yeah. Under this MyPMK, you have to apply for this MyPMK. This is an example of the approval letter of MyPMK, the registration status for MyPMK. If you are a person, if you are a person acquiring this rental or lease, and the annual sales of your company not exceeds 1 million, yeah, based on the annual income declared in LHGN, yes, you are entitled for this application for MyPMK, entitled for this tax exemption under rental or lease. Yeah, only rental and lease. Only rental or lease for this MyPMK. All right. All right. Group relief. So under rental or lease, yeah, rental or lease, we have actually we have total of 6 exemption. Yeah. The last one is the group relief. So this rental or lease also entitled for this group relief. For your information, group release is only applicable to Group G taxable services. Yeah, if you are a registrant under Group G, you can enjoy this group relief. But starting 1st July onwards, we also provide this group relief facility to under Service Tax Policy number 2, 2025. It is also provided to the rental or lease services. Yeah. So basically, what is a group relief? Yeah. So group relief is actually a provisions of rental between in a group of, between a company in a group of company. Okay. You must form a group of company. All right. Under Regulation 4. Service Tax Regulation, under Regulation 4, Service Tax Regulation, first schedule, there are conditions how you can form a group, okay? How you can form a group of company in order for you to enjoy this group relief facility. So basically, company must hold hold a shares in that company. You cannot have same director, you cannot have same share partner. That is not entitled, that is not the conditions to form a group of company. So the condition is the company must control each of the company through directly or indirectly through subsidiaries more than 50% of the issued share capital. So the holding company must hold another company more than 50% of shares, or 20% to 50% by the second company, provided that the first mentioned company has the exercisable power to appoint or to remove all or majority of the directors in the board of directors in the second mentioned company. So even though you hold 20% or 21%, but you have this exercisable to appoint or to remove majority of the director, yes, you can form a group of company. Remember, yeah, it must be a company hold a company through shares, okay, not sharing same director, not sharing same partnership, not a related sister company, not a related companies and so on. It must be a company hold a company by shares, okay. Then only you can form a group of company. So in the case that you are entitled for a group of company, for example, take a look on example 1. All right, for example 1, LY Berhad holds C1 indirectly by 70%. So all these can form a group of company LY with company A, B, C, company A1, B1, C1. So all these can form a group of company. Therefore, the provisions of taxable services, for example, rental services from C1 to B1 is not subject to service tax. Rental services from B1 to holding company LY also not subject to service tax. So on any provisions of rental services from any company to any company in the group of company is not subject to service tax. It is being granted a group relief. Okay. But take a look on example number 2. LY Berhad holds C1 indirectly 50%, so therefore it is not more than 50. Yeah. Then it is not subject to service tax unless it has this exercisable power to appoint and remove majority of the directors. Yeah. So that is why without C1, the rest can enjoy group relief facilities, but for C1 purposes, only C1 cannot enjoy group relief facilities. Okay. Alright, let's move on to the Service Tax Policy number 3. Okay, Service Tax Policy number 1 are meant for financial services. There are 9 items for an exemption. Service Tax Policy number 2, there are 6 items that has been granted an exemption by the Minister for rental and lease, rental and lease services. And Service Tax Policy number 3. Service Tax Policy number 3 are meant for construction works, all the construction services. This is for you. All right. The first exemption is on the exemption from being subject to compound, from being charged to compound, prosecution or penalty on any late registration, late submission of returns, late payment, incorrect declarations, error related to invoices, credit note or debit note. So this is an exemption that has been given for the period of up until 31st December 2025. Yeah, if you have accidentally declared an incorrect value, then you have to go forward to the controlling session and make some amendments and adjustment and so on, without imposing any penalty, compound and so on. All right. Okay, next we give an exemption on construction work provided to the federal and state government, also to the local authorities, but there are a limitation of time. Okay, provisions of construction work to federal and state government is not is being given an exemption, but to the local authority, it also being given an exemption, but a temporary exemption. Okay, up until 30th September 2025. Then starting 1st October onwards, you have to charge accordingly. Right? Okay, also on non-reviewable contract, the conditions are this, also the same thing. It must be stamped, LHDN stamped, signed and stamped before 9 June 2025. It must be a non-reviewable contract means that the value is not cannot be changed, cannot be amended accordingly, and there's nothing in the contract saying that it is a reviewable contract and so on. Okay, so basically, it is being given an exemption, also for a 1 year exemption, starting 1st July 2026 onwards. Then only it will be charged service tax. Yeah. Even though your contract is valid up until next 5 years, but the exemption is only given up to only 1 year, up until 30th June 2026. All right. Next, let's move on to the service tax policy number 4. This is meant for the education group. Okay, so education is also having an exemption for this, exempted from being subject to compound prosecution and penalty on any late registration, on any late submission of returns, late payment, incorrect declarations, error related to invoices, credit note or debit note. So please go back to the controlling station if you observe any mistakes on any submission and so on, yeah, so that you can enjoy this exemption, not to be charged penalty, or not to be charged compound and so on, right? And also exempted from charges. We know that being a taxable person under education, yeah. So when you are an education institution, you charge your student various charges, yeah. For example, you also charge book charges, uniform charges, F&B, transportation, accommodation, refundable deposit, PIBG charges, student passes, visa, and so on. So there are confusions from the industries whether any charges from the university, any charges from the school, is it taxable? So from this service tax policy number 4, yeah, 2025, under the Appendix A, there has been granted an exemption for all the charges that falls under the Appendix A. For example, the book charges, uniform, F&B, transportation, accommodation. All this has been given and exempted, so no need to charge service tax. Yeah, the only thing that you have to charge something, anything that is not related to this one. So, for example, the facilities charges, the core curriculum charges, the tuition fee, the monthly charges, something like that. So, your enrollment fee. So, all that are subject to service tax, except for all the list, for all this list that has been stated in the Appendix A. All right, the last service tax policy that we have here is service tax policy number 5. This is meant for the healthcare services. Yes, these healthcare services are a general. I would say this is a general exemption that has been given to all the new industries, to all the new registrant for the expansion scope. Yeah, for any late registration, for any late submission of returns, for any late payment, incorrect declarations, for any error related to invoices, credit note and debit note. So you have been given an exemption, a blanket and an exemption, not to be charged on any mistakes, yeah, for penalty or compound, or even for prosecutions. Yeah, you have been given an exemption under the minister power of section 34(3). All right, let's move on to the next agenda. So we have covered the exemption. So we have various exemption, too much exemption that we have, yeah, in place for the existing registered person, as well as to the new registrant of service tax under the expansion scope, yeah, under the passport order, as well as the service tax policy. Now let's move on to other facility that we have. For example, refund. But As I mentioned earlier, this refund thing is not something like GST. Yeah, it is not something like input tax credit where you can contra set off and so on. It is not like that. Okay, this is a refund purely to the bad debt or to erroneously paid. Yeah, accidentally, wrongly charged. Yeah, that one you can apply for refund. All right. Before that, let's go to the section 35. This is a refund of service tax in relation to the bad debt. Can be claimed by a registered person or ceased to be registered person. Can claim within 6 years from the date of service tax was paid. The rules is you have to pay first, then only you claim for refund, subject to conditions and satisfactions of the DG. Alright, so in the case that when you provide taxable services to the client, right, you have under section 21, you have to issue out invoice within 1 year from the provisions of taxable services to the client. So you have to issue an invoice, yeah, under section 21. It is a requirement. So when you under section 11, we said that you have to account service tax when payment is received, right? But in the case that you already provide the services and you did not receive the payment, you have not received the payment up until 1 year, you still have not received the payment. So in the month of 13, yeah, you have to self-pay, self-declare and pay. So you have to pay whatever tax that is due and payable for the provisions of services that you have already provided to the client. So you pay first to RMCD, then only you can go back to section 35 to claim for bad debt. Alright, so this bad debt, the condition is you have to pay first, then only you apply bad debt to custom, because it is actually not your responsibility to pay that service tax. It is because you are not the one who consume the services, right? As I mentioned, those who consume the services has to pay the tax, right? Okay, so under this section 35, yes, you can apply for refund, but subject to conditions whereby you have to prove to customs, to DG, saying that you have trying all the all efforts that you have tried to get back the service tax value, the service tax amount to be paid to customs, or maybe your client has been in bankruptcy and so on. So you have to provide all the proof and documentations to RMCD, and we assess. So if we satisfied with all the effort and documentations that you provide to customs, yes, we can approve your refund in relation to the bad debt. So this is a refund under section 38. Yeah, section 38 for erroneously paid, overpaid, or erroneously paid service tax, surcharge, penalty, fee, or any other money. Okay, under this section 38, you can apply. All right, exemption. For example, you know that this is taxable services, but you apply to Minister of Finance under section 34(6), you apply and you have been granted an approval for that period of time, for that particular project. You have been granted an approval for an exemption, tax exemption. So you already paid to custom. With that letter, you can apply for refund under section 38. Yeah, so refund is to be made to the controlling station. As I mentioned earlier, right? Your transaction of business, your activity of business, your data of the company will be stored at the controlling station. The controlling station will monitor your file, the controlling station will monitor your transaction, your declaration, and so on. So yes, apply refund to the controlling station by using the prescribed form, which is JKDM number 2 form. Alright? JKDM number 2 form. One application per refund. Okay, in the case that you have multiple refund, then you submit multiple forms. All right, so one form for one claim. So basically, that's what it means. Yeah. All right, this is a process of refund. You submit refund application by using JKM number 2 form. Yeah, with the accompanied with the letterhead of application letter from your company and any other supporting documents. For example, proof that you have requests. A letter from minister saying that you have been granted this exemption and so on. SST 0T that you, to prove that you have already paid services for this particular invoices and so on. So all the supporting documents you have to submit together with the form to the controlling station, right? And within 30 days for company to respond on any further documentations needed. Alright, when you come to customs, you submit your application, custom will come up with a acknowledgement letter saying that we have received your application. So within 30 days, if custom requests any further documentations via email, you have to respond to custom. Alright, within 30 days. So if you fail to do so, okay, custom request for further contracts or further supporting document, but you did not respond timely, so that application will be forfeited. Alright, so you have to apply again. Yeah, so result, if documentation is fully completed, we are going to issue out another confirmation letter for if you have received documentation in full. Yeah, so 30 days from that letter, from the date, you will be receive your results. Okay, you will be receiving your result in 30 days, and in the case that you have objected, I mean, you have not satisfied with the decision that customs has come up with, whether your application has been rejected, your refund has been rejected, and you are not satisfied, then you can apply for review application via online. Okay, review application is only to be processed in headquarters. Alright, this is the JKDM number 2 form, the refund form. You have to fulfill any related area, related informations, not all. If about services, then you put in on all the information that related to your services. Alright, this is the refund checklist. Any forms, any documentation, supporting documentation that has been provided to customs, if necessary. Alright, the acknowledgement letter. We are going to provide you an acknowledgement letter once you submit your application to customs. Alright, and the supporting document request. So this is when we require further documentations. Alright, and this is the results, yeah, the forms, results form, whether it is been approved or not. If approved, by how many value. So we will state it in the in this Lampiran 8, yeah, in this Lampiran 8. And you can submit your application to headquarters if you are not satisfied with the application, I mean with the results. Okay, in what circumstances you may apply for refund? Let's take a look on this example. Company ABC provides maintenance and repair services and reached threshold in the month of May 2025. Company ABC applied for registration in June and immediately charged his client 8% service tax. So just recently, the accounts department of company ABC realized that they shouldn't charge the client before their registration approved. So company ABC may apply for refund for the erroneously paid tax. Yeah. So in this case, when they apply for registration in June, whatever services invoices that has been issued in June, they immediately charge service tax. So they have collected and paid this tax. Yeah. So you may apply for refund on the erroneously paid. Okay, remission, section 40. Section 35 for bad debt refund. Section 38 for erroneously refund, erroneously paid or overpaid, you can apply for refund. Section 40, minister may remit the whole or any part of the services due and payable under the act where he deems fit. And DG, yeah, minister remit tax due. Yeah, service tax due, but DG may remit any surcharge accrued, penalty, fee, or any other money payable. So our DG, Customs DG, we have the power to remit the whole or any part of the penalty, compound, and so on. But minister on the service tax value. Okay, for under this remission section 40, where a person who has been granted an remission under subsection 1 or 2 has paid any of the service tax, such as penalty, fee, or any other money to which the remission relates, he shall be entitled for a refund, yeah, of the amount of service tax, surcharge, penalty, fee, or any money which had been remitted. So in the case that you apply remission to minister approve, then you can apply for refund, yeah, under remission. Okay, what you should do when the BOD is issued to the company, you apply in writing to the account, to the divisions of account belum terima ABT in your controlling station, and upon verification by RMCD. Okay, and you will get the results. Alright, common reasons for remissions applications usually for late registration, late submission, late payment. So So if you notice, all these reasons are actually under this under the thing that we have been provide. The minister has been provide for the new service tax policy. Yeah, those for the in relation to the provisions of the new taxable services. So because we observe, we notice that these are the common reason that we have been received way back, yeah, since the implementation of SST. These are the reasons that we receive for them to incur on these penalty compounds and so on. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is the ruling. Okay, ruling. So, what is ruling? Actually, ruling is a treatment, a tax treatment, a tax confirmation or tax treatment to confirm, to determine whether you are actually providing taxable services, whether you are actually using the methods of calculation of tax is correct or not. So this is basically something that your application to custom to confirm your doings are correct. So when custom confirms this by ruling application, then you can stick to it. If there's no changes made by the company, you can hold to that ruling for a period of maximum 5 years. Yeah. So in the case that customs come and audit with that ruling, you can protect yourself. So basically, that is what ruling is. Yeah. Under Section 42, any persons may apply for ruling of determinations of taxable services. So whether or not you want to confirm whether your provisions of services are taxable or not. Okay, so you apply to customs by using this ruling method. You apply for ruling, then customs reply, okay, this is taxable, this is non-taxable. So you hold to that decisions, yeah, for a period of maximum 5 years. So with this decision, you safeguard your position. So in the case that customs come and audit, you can provide to customs that, hey, I have this ruling saying that my services are not taxable. All right? Okay, to determine whether you are the taxable person or not, to determine the principles to be adopted for the purpose of determinations of value of taxable services, or any other matters as determined by DG, any other matters that you want customs to confirm. So basically, you can apply via ruling. Okay, application can be made via prescribed form together with a prescribed fee. If I'm not mistaken, it is chargeable at the value of 200 ringgit, if I'm not mistaken. At any time before the service is provided, or at any time if permitted by DG. So, irregardless of when or to apply. So it is never too late for you to apply for any rulings. You can just apply it on time. I mean, you can just apply it anytime. So that, but that ruling will be onwards, yeah. It cannot be backwards. Whatever decision that has been made, it will be used forward. All right. So this is the rulings regulations that we have. As Service Tax Customs Ruling Regulations 2018. There are a few amendments that has been made. All right. Yes, the application fee is 200 ringgit. All right. The procedure to apply for ruling, you by using the application forms, yeah. Application for a customs ruling shall be made in the prescribed form in the first schedule. So the name of the form is first schedule. Where you submit your ruling, you submit your ruling to the headquarters, all right? Accompanied by processing fee of 200 ringgit, payment in cash, bank draft, or banker's check in the name of that Director General of Customs. A receipt of payment must be issued, and the original receipt will be given to the applicant. One application for one ruling only. You're gonna have one application with different methods or different items that you need customs to confirm on. Yeah, we only accept one forms for one ruling. All right, application is to made to application is to be made to the Customs Department of Perkhidmatan Teknik by using the first schedule application form. Perteknik is to complete application based on the checklist of customs ruling applications. Application need to be fulfilled in accurately and completely. DG may require the applicant to provide additional document of information within the period of 30 days from the date of written notice or any extension granted by DG. So if the applicant fails to provide the documents or information required within the stipulated time, application shall be deemed to have been withdrawn, okay, forfeited. Right, so this is the first schedule application form. The name of the form itself is first schedule, all right. Okay, So once you receive your rulings, okay, once you receive your ruling, this is how it looks like. Okay, this ruling will valid for a period of 3 years, and you may apply for renewal if there's no changes in the provisions of services, taxable services. If there's no changes, you can apply for renewal. Yeah, renewal. Free, for free. Yeah, you do not have to pay any money for the extensions of 2 years time. Yeah, so all customs ruling applications are processed only at headquarters. Issuance of customs ruling within a period of 90 days. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. You can just file it, or you can save. You can keep this for your safekeeping. Yeah. All right. Before the expiry date, 3 months before the expiry date, you have to apply for renewal if there is no changes made to the provisions of that services. Okay. Then renewal is only allowed once, and there is no charge. All right. Valid for a period of 2 years from the original expiry date. No changes to the services or the description provided. Application for renewal of customs ruling can be made to pertake headquarters or the state or the controlling station. Okay. A renewed customs ruling will be issued using the second schedule. So, what are the reasons that you can apply for this? Sorry, not remission, but for ruling. Tariff code goods. Yeah, if you are a registered manufacturer, you wanted to have a tariff for your goods, right? So you wanted customs to confirm this good belongs to this tariff code. So yes, you can submit that. Determinations of manufacturing, whether you fulfill the definitions of manufacturing, whether you are mandatory to be registered under Sales Tax Act. Yeah, the determinations of taxable services, whether you are providing taxable services or not. Okay, whether you are mandatory to be registered person, whether you are actually a taxable person, yeah, all this you can apply for customs ruling. So what about if you are not satisfied with the decision? Yes, you can apply for review. Yeah, under the review through an online application, and it will be processed only at headquarters Putrajaya. Alright. So applicants who are dissatisfied with the customs ruling, decisions may submit an application for review to the DG of Customs within 30 days from the date applicant is notified by DG. Alright. No appeal has been made on the same decision to the Customs Appeal Tribunal or the court. So, let's say you receive a customs decision, then you are not satisfied. So, within 30 days from the date you receive the customs decision, you apply via online to the e-review. Alright, you cannot apply parallelly to e-review and also to the Customs Appeal Tribunal. Only one application. Yeah. If you apply to review, e-review, then you do not have to apply to Customs Appeal Tribunal or to the court. Alright, so that's the rules here. The application for review must fill out the SST03 form. Applicant shall give a reasonable reason and fact with the supporting document in supporting of the appeal. So why do you think it is not? Why do you think it is you dissatisfied with the decision? On what ground? So you have to submit all the. You have to submit all the. You have to state all the reasons. Yeah. So yeah, this is the forms that SST03 forms. Why you think that the customs decisions are not correct, or you dissatisfied with the decision? You give your opinions here, you give your objections here, you give all the facts here. All right. So with this, once you completed the form, then you submit applications to the e-review. You upload the forms. Yeah. Alright, so with that, I think I have finished presenting. Let us just take a look on the questions if you have some times. Alright. Where can I take on the question? Alright, hold on. Wow, so many questions. Okay, alright. Don't know where to start. Okay, since morning, alright, no sound, okay. Um, mhm. Okay, there's a question here. Can we issue credit note just for purpose of SST? Client is not paying, but the invoice still valid because we still want to chase client to pay. All right, issuance of credit and debit note must be with the value and service tax. All right, cannot. All right. What else? Alright, but for imported service, we are paying withholding tax. Note same, still have to pay service tax. Yes, okay. Let me just explain a little bit more on these imported services. Withholding tax is actually to be is the responsibility of the foreign service provider to pay to inland revenue because they are providing service businesses in Malaysia, yeah. So that is their responsibility. So that withholding tax is actually a contra method from you and your foreign service provider. Okay, they need you to pay on behalf because they are actually the provisions. They are actually a responsibility of the foreign service provider, and it is a method of you of it is a method between the businesses to pay on behalf and so on. All right, but for service tax, under Section 9, yeah, Section 9, we said that the value of taxable service is the actual value. The actual value is consists the whole value, the whole amount in the invoices. All right, so that offsetting between you and the businesses is an arrangement of paying method for this particular foreign service provider. But to custom for the value of services, for the purpose of imported taxable services, to calculate the value of taxable services is actually based on the total value. Right? It's two different things. Yeah. You are actually not paying the withholding tax. The withholding tax is actually payable by the foreign service provider. For imported services, is it applicable for the same group of company? Yes, under Regulation 3A, you can also enjoy imported services for the same for the company in a group of company. It is also applicable. All right, but you have to fulfill the condition. The company in a group of company must by holding by shares. Okay, you cannot sharing same director or same share partner. It must be company holds a company. Then you entitled for the group of company, regardless of that holding company is located outside Malaysia. Also, no problem. You can enjoy under Regulation 3A. Okay. For the existing register and service tax in July, is SST chargeable in the same month or August? Okay, for the existing registered person, if you exceed the threshold, you immediately add on the types of taxable services. For example, you are a registered person under Logistic Group J, and you are also providing rental services. When you provide the rental services, your rental services is exceed more than 1 million. Okay, you immediately add on the types of taxable services by 1st of July. Then 1st July onwards, you start charging service tax for rental services. Okay, but let me just clarify here. When we talk about rental in logistics, I just need to explain this briefly so that the industries are not confused. Yeah, when we talk about rental services, yeah. Being a logistic service provider, you are actually the warehouse operator. So let's take a look on the warehouse operator. Yeah. So this warehousing operator, they are actually rented some spaces to the tenant, to the client. So you may use the term storage or rental. Okay. So with this term, it is chargeable to service tax. If you are also providing you are also monitoring the goods, yeah. For you're still acting as an operator warehouse, yeah. You still do this kind of activity to monitor the goods, to provide services, to provide inventory services, to provide cleaning services, to provide security services, to still care of the goods on behalf of the client, regardless of the term that you charge your client, whether it is rental or storage, but you are actually providing the warehousing services, warehousing activity, you are still the warehouse operator, then it is a logistic services. That charges of rental, the term that you use, that rental is still a logistic services under warehousing services. All right, it is not a rental that it falls under group K, the new group. Okay, before the implementation of rental and lease, 1st July. Before 1st July, that provisions is actually taxable under logistic. Then why suddenly starting 1st July you said that that provision is taxable under rental? Right, because you are under section not under section, but under the regulations of service tax regulation, we are actually looking at the actual service provided to the client. If you are actually providing warehousing services, then you are falls under logistic 6%. All right, but when you are actually provide a place for to be rent out, yeah, to be leased, to be rent. That place is an empty property. You rent it out, that building to the third party, to the third party company. So that third party company act as an operator of warehouse. Then that third party company is operating the warehouse and doing this warehousing services. And that with that particular services, the rental of the property will then falls under Group K, because there's no services provided for that particular warehouse. It is an empty property. You rent it out to someone, then you charge rental. So that is purely rental under Group K. But if you charge rental when you are actually providing the logistic services, you are still monitoring that area, you are still monitoring, taking care of the goods. Yeah, so that term of rental by this warehouse operator is chargeable under logistic. It is a logistic services. It is not a rental Group K services. All right. So I hope I explained it well. You can understand, and please don't get confused. Yeah. Okay. I don't know where I stopped just now. Rental. Where is it? Okay, already I said 9:42. How to get this taxable service table such as Group A, B, and C? Oh, how to get it? Okay, you can go to the service tax regulations. Yeah, this is service tax regulation. When you go to the service tax regulation, you can find the table here. Can you see? Can you see? Oh, can you see? All right. So on the first schedule of service tax regulation, there are a long list of 13 groups. Yeah, you can check the 13 groups. It's all there. It's all in the gazetted orders. It is in also you can find it in my SST portal. If you don't want to go to my SST portal, you can go to Malaysian Gazette. Also, you can find all these tables of groups, taxable groups. All right. So I hope. I think I have to stop here because the secretary will say, "Oh, stop. I need to stop here to allow you to have your good lunch." All right. So I'm thanking everyone, participants of today's webinar. I really hope that I have shared knowledge, informations to be benefited to you all. So to those new registrants, I'm welcoming you all to SST journey, to SST regime. You can write me an email. So that's one tip I wanted to share with you. If you write me an email but there's no response, you can top up on the email saying that this is an urgent thing. So that, that is the tips, yeah. Because for your information, we in the headquarters, we have been receiving a lot of email recently since last year up until now. We have thousands of email, to be frank with you. And we are about to finish it on time. I mean, to respond to each of the emails. We will, but it will take some time. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I hope that this session will be benefited to you. If you have further questions, you know where to look for, where to write on, where to ask for. Yeah. Another tips: if you want to have a confirmation treatment in black and white, please write in to RMCD. You can write into the same address that I have shared in my slides. Yeah, that is in my division in headquarters Putrajaya. Write in by using your company's letterhead. Then custom will also reply by using customs letterhead, so that you can have that confirmations of service tax treatment. Yeah, for your safekeeping and for your records to give correct tax treatment to the clients. With that, I end my session. Thank you so much, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good day, everyone. Thank you. Ambil kau.